Good morning to you. How are you doing? Are you well? It's exactly 9:30 and it is Thursday, June 27th, 2019. It's lovely outside today. It's glorious. I've been up since just before 6. I've had my run. I'm in good form and it's glorious. Yeah, we're going to get some of that weather they've been having in Europe, in France and in Spain. We hear about France and Spain more than any other countries where it's absolutely sweltering at the moment because of Sahara winds, of course, coming north across southern Europe. It's absolutely boiling. So we're going to get a bit of that. Interestingly enough, while we were having a beer last night before the Eagles, and there's the little picture there, in case anybody wanted to see that nonsense, the oft-mentioned future Mrs. Allen said, I wonder if this extreme weather has got anything to do with the constant bombardment of climate change topics and climate change news in the media. I think the oft-mentioned future Mrs. Allen is pretty bright, to be honest. She's interested in these matters. Not as interested as I am, but she's interested and said, I wonder who's got the most to gain by these exceptional temperatures in southern Europe. Now, it's not the most anomalous thing. We spent quite a few years in Spain. From time to time, you do get periods of heat like that, again, coming off of Africa, and it's extreme. But she says the timing of this is very interesting. Maybe she's right. Had a lovely time last night. Thanks for the messages. I know I don't know, given stuff, talking about private things and domestic things, but it seems to matter to those of you who've been watching or listening to the radio programme for a long time. You tend to like it, so there you are. Good morning to Gail and Mark. The Eagles were exceptional last night. They were brilliant. I mean, look, it's Don Henley and Joe Walsh, who of course came on board around Hotel California time, and of course it's Timothy B. Schmidt, the bass player, who came on board around the time of the long run. But Glenn Fry sadly passed away a couple of years ago. Randy Meisner, of course, retired and doesn't want to be involved. And it's not the original Eagles, but it's great. Deacon Frey, who's Glenn Frey's son, is sitting in. These are some bad pictures taken by me last night. There's Joe Walsh, of course, Timothy B. Smith, and on the right there, you've got the great Don Henley, who was in great form actually. Don Henley, there he is. He's I'll never get a career, or I'll never get a job as a rock show or live music show photographer. And there's Joe Walsh. How you doing, Joe? It's Joe. We love Joe Walsh. And he was in great form last night. So it was brilliant. It was fantastic. 14,500 people or thereabouts in the arena watching the Eagles, and the crack was great. People were in great form, and it's just lovely to get out, isn't it? So thanks for the tweets. Thanks, Mark. Thanks to Chris Brown. Hi to Anonymous in Western Massachusetts. To Claire Bear. How you doing, Claire Bear? To Sean Mack, to 26. To Tom Longland. How you doing, Tom Longland? He says, what a lovely day it is here in Chertsey. Hi, Jason Williamson. Hi to PB Awake, who says that he or she tries to send money without using PayPal, but it's not working. Check that out. I've tried to send a direct payment, but what name to put it in? Put it in your own name or put it in my name. I don't know. The details are at richieallen.co.uk. Thanks. I don't want to sound dismissive of that. It's very important to me that the show is supported, the radio show. And it's because without it, there is no radio show. But I don't know what else I can do. There is a PayPal address. It's richieallen@hotmail.co.uk. That's the PayPal address. That's RICHIEALLEN @hotmail.co.uk. There is bank account details, but I don't know what else to do. I am really a one-man band. I produce, edit, and present the radio show, which takes pretty much every waking second of my daily life. And I have wonderful people say, Richie, you should do this, you should sell merchandise, you should do this and you should do that. Yeah, wonderful. It's just me, guys. It's me. I can't even begin to explain to you what an undertaking it is to produce and present 5 radio shows a week. I should spend more time on the money side of things, and it's more important than anything, but I don't know what else to do. I can't. So there you are. Thanks to Steve O'Neill. Thanks to Joe Public for the message. Julie Waters as well. And a lot of people are talking about Margaret Hodge. Margaret Oppenheimer. She was on Newsnight last night, was the great Zionist herself, who's been a thorn in the side of Jeremy Corbyn and Corbyn friends and aides, claiming that anti-Semitism is rife in the UK and that Jews are living in fear of their lives. Well, Chris Williamson, the Derby MP, another coward just like Jeremy Corbyn, another coward who backed down in the face of Zionist aggression, making apologies. Chris Williamson apologised for liking a tweet by Gilad Atzmon. Gilad is an Israeli-born, of course, saxophonist, musician, humanitarian, writer, extraordinaire, wonderful writer. And Williamson was called anti-Semitic for liking something that Gilad had tweeted. And then he backed down and he apologised for it. You know, so let's be honest about it here. I have no sympathy for Jeremy Corbyn or for Chris Williamson when ultra-Zionist Jew Margaret Hodge is on Newsnight calling them Jew haters. And you should have no sympathy for them either. Don't weep for Chris Williamson and Jeremy Corbyn because they won't stand up for themselves. They won't stand up to it. Now, I'm not nearly as well known as Jeremy Corbyn. Not now, probably not ever, but I stand up to it. I'll be standing up to it later on today. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that later on. Because I told you I had some personal stuff to deal with later on today, which means I won't be doing a radio show today. But I'm giving you loads of content anyway. I'll be back on with you tomorrow for an extended newspaper review tomorrow, Friday, in lieu of it. But I'm going to be taking on some of these people today by other means. I'll tell you more about that later. Hi to Josh Ratcliffe, to John Parsons, who's basking in the Costa del Salford. How you doing, John? To Mayday, to Ketchup Mayo, who's in France. 25 in the shade in France. That's not a bad picture of Joe Walsh. Thanks for that, Philip. Not Philip. Who said that? Chris Brown. Hi to Naroda, to Eloise Mack, to Mr. Sin. Thanks for your donation, Mr. Sin. Thank you, mate. Means a lot to me, as you know. Jason says, fuck me, you really are 6'6", or your missus is short. No, Caroline's a dwarf. I'm about 5'9". Excuse me. Half of my breakfast emerging there. I'm about 5'9". I think Caroline's about 4'3", I think, or thereabouts. But it's handy, if you know what I mean. It's becoming very smutty now and very unbecoming, this programme, isn't it? There's no need for it. Hi to Gabriel Swift. Hi to Ankmat Hotep, who says no war on Iran. Yes. Unity calling. How you doing? KT in Portugal. How you doing, KT in Portugal? Did I mention Gail? I think I did. William Gibson said Hillary lands in Ireland. Odd at a time Assange is getting deported to the United States. Yes. Yes. Hi to Kim Singh. Kim says, wondering if you saw my message about children's dinner tickets at schools being replaced with fingerprint ID. Kim, I didn't, mate, but thanks for the message anyway. Pippa King was able to prevent, this is biometrics in school, the great Pippa King. What a lovely woman she is. What a brilliant woman Pippa King is. Regular guest on the programme. She was able to prevent it happening in her child's school some years ago, the biometrics and the fingerprinting. Incredible. Hi to Kelly. Morning, Kelly. Hi to Jean-Ann Crowley. Nice weather here in Connemara. Had a lovely chat with Jean-Ann on the old dog and bone just before coming on. Top woman. And Samantha Jordan says the fingerprint thing has been going on for a couple of years now. I also have to do it to sign into work. It has been going on, Samantha, for a couple of years. Let's get rid of the award-winning picture of Joe Walsh. Hardly award-winning. Love Joe. He was great last night, Joe. Lovely show it was. Nothing like people coming together in a room, enjoying themselves and singing and dancing. What would my great friend Mark Boyerski say about that? Clears negative energy, doesn't it? It clears negative energy maybe in the area, but it clears it from inside. And my voice is in great form because when I go to concerts, I'm very aware of the fact that I am a professional broadcaster. And even though I want to scream out the chorus to take it to the limit, I can't. So I've got to mime it and not scream it out. But it clears a lot of negative energy inside. And it's good for the soul. Music is great for the soul, isn't it? Okay. It's the Telegraph. Let's have a look at the papers. What we came here to do. It's 20 to 10. Boris vows to restore faith in UK borders. It's one of these campaign promises that Boris Johnson and Jeremy Hunt, both of them are making campaign promises as the circus of the leadership contest rolls on. They're taking part in hustings around the country. By the last week in July, we will have a new Prime Minister, because the members, the Conservative Party membership, will be allowed, or will finally vote on which of them will become the new leader and the new Prime Minister. You can't sign up to be a member of the Conservative Party now, and you couldn't up till a few weeks ago. So to mischief-making lefties who want to sign up and support Jeremy Hunt because they foolishly believe that Boris is going to take the UK out without a deal, you can't do that. You can't sign up. So don't waste your time. But he's talking about the borders. And we can look inside the Telegraph through the magic of the interweb. We can look inside the Telegraph at that actual article. Boris Johnson promises Australian-style point system for immigration. This is a pledge to take on unfettered or unmanaged or mismanaged immigration. Johnson said foreign workers will not be allowed to cut ahead in the queue by taking jobs that British people can do, and foreign workers will have no entitlement to benefits when they first arrive. This is what he's saying. He says that it's vital to keep control over the number of unskilled migrants coming to the UK from the EU and beyond, though he said Britain must be much more open to highly skilled migrants, such as scientists. He added he would be tougher on those who abuse her hospitality. Now, I don't believe him. Don't believe any politician, regardless of where they come from, where they are on the spectrum of right, left, centrist, whatever. They're liars. It's part of an overarching agenda to destroy the poorest in society. And part of that agenda in the UK and in Ireland, as we've seen, I can talk about the UK and Ireland personally, is to basically wipe out the working poor. One of the ways you do that is you take jobs that were traditionally there for unskilled and semi-skilled people. Now, I wasn't joking yesterday when I said that I'm unskilled and semi-skilled. I am. I nearly ended up in Waterford Crystal many years. I'm 44 now. Many years ago, before Waterford Crystal got into difficulty, I would have been earmarked as somebody who would have maybe become a glass blower or a glass cutter. Now, the truth is I couldn't have done either because, like I said, I can't put a nail in the wall. I couldn't hang a photograph for you. I'm as useless as tits on a bull, as they say in Texas. I am useless, utterly useless. My friend said to me, "Are you not ashamed, Richie, that Caroline is making furniture in your new house? We see the pictures." I'm not ashamed. I'm a modern man. I'm quite happy to sit on the sofa with a beer and watch the cricket while Caroline is using power tools and putting together flat pack furniture. Because I can't do it because I'm useless. And all that I can do is open my big fat mouth and make radio programs. And that gets me by, right? But without that, I couldn't do anything. So I would be dependent on semi-skilled or zero-skilled occupations, right? I'd have no problem with that. I'm a working class boy from a working class housing estate and I'm proud of it. But one of the things they've done to the working poor is through unmanaged migration, is make those jobs unattainable by a flow of migrants coming in from Eastern Europe, particularly in the UK, which have taken low-paid, unskilled work away. Now, when the blonde-haired goon there says that he'll stop that, he's lying for two reasons. Manufacturing has been destroyed through membership of the European Union, through anti-competitive laws, which we are subjected to through our membership of the European Union, number one. And number two, he's not going to stop immigration or anything like it. It's a lie, right? These are the lies that Steve Bannon and all these people, Cambridge Analytica, that the wonderful Neil Sanders has explored and delved into. These are the lies they are selling to people. Because people need to hear this because it's important, because it's true, but they don't mean it. This is just vote-getting lies. Johnson is an incorrigible liar. Okay? A city the size of Swansea or Cardiff, we are growing by. The country is see, I can't construct a sentence this morning. The country is growing by over £100,000 a year. I'll tell you what, I'll stop the stream. I'll sleep for an hour. I'll come back and I'll start again. The net migration number means that the country is getting larger every year, as if we created a new city the size of Cardiff or Swansea. I can't remember which one it is anyway. That's not going to change. Okay? And I would take those promises by Boris Johnson with a large grain of salt there. So that's the Telegraph. What's in the Times? I will read your comments out, don't worry. I'll get to them. Scientists predict end of cervical cancer fight on the one hand, and it's fine if my children are gay, says William on the other hand. And there's also a picture of a glamorous young lady who's going glamping at Glastonbury, presumably. The Glastonbury Festival is back this year after missing last year. The cervical cancer fight is in The Guardian. We'll look at it a bit later on briefly. This is a massive promotion for the HPV Gardasil vaccine, which has caused thousands, I would say, of girls in not just in Ireland but in Europe and in the Far East. It's caused catastrophic, calamitous health problems in girls, giving them again chronic fatigue. God, my mind's not here this morning. You know, we've gotten into this 1,000 times. Chronic fatigue is just one part of it. The inability to walk, muscular pain. This is chronic stuff now. Thousands in Ireland anyway. And of course the Irish government is ignoring it, despite the overwhelming evidence of it. And the parents of girls in Ireland particularly have been attacked through the media, vicariously through the media, by the Irish Health Service, the Irish Health Department, by the Minister for Health in Ireland, but also by various useful idiots who've come out publicly to say that the women are, it's either Munchausen syndrome by proxy, whatever, or it's child abuse. It's horrendous. It's happening. But there's a big push today in the news, not just in the papers, to push Gardasil. Okay? And you won't be surprised by that. We'll come back to the William Gay thing as well. There's The Guardian. Care chiefs warn funding crisis is putting tens of thousands at risk. Of course, this is privatisation by destruction. We know this. Virgin Care, and other such companies are waiting with open arms to take over aspects of the health service when the public outcry becomes such that the resolution is, well, let's engage in public-private partnerships, or let's tender out aspects of healthcare which we are finding very difficult to manage. Let's give it to corporations. This is how they do it. This is how they privatise it. Okay? And Neil Sanders is right when he says that all of these backers of Boris Johnson, particularly in the United States of America, are backing him because the biggest healthcare companies in the world in the United States want to get their grubby paws on the National Health Service in the UK, which is supposed to be free at the point of use, the point of necessity to everybody, every man, woman and child. Okay? So that's in The Guardian. There's also that horrible picture in The Guardian as well, which has been... I understand. I mean, I did Wednesday's Richie Allen radio show pretty early yesterday. I finished it by 2:00 to get it online earlier than usual. And I understand that picture was discussed widely in a Democratic Party debate last night. Democratic Party candidates are gearing up to win the nomination to take on Donald Trump next year. And I understand this horrible picture has garnered quite a lot of controversy, with many on the alt-right saying that the picture is fake. I have no idea. It's very sad that when people see a picture like that, the first thing they do is they say it's fake. They don't say how dreadful. Could this be the photo that finally wakes the US up to the migrant crisis in The Guardian, right? Might do more on that later on, or on another Richie Allen radio show. What's in the Mail today? Tory-run group takes cash from cannabis firms. This is very interesting. It's alleging that a group of conservatives, led by Crispin Blunt apparently, that are all for legalising medicinal cannabis, are actually being funded by groups in the United States who are now making a lot of money now that cannabis has been legalised in so many states in the US. So the Mail is saying Conservative Party MPs here that are all for legalising it, or legalising it to a point, right, are actually being backed by companies in America that are making a lot of money now. Follow the money, says the Daily Mail, right? Very interesting, that. What's in the Express? Hunt, I'll protect free TV licences. This is, again, the leadership campaign and promises that are being made by both candidates. Hunt is saying, forget what Theresa May has done, forget what the BBC is doing, where they have removed if you were 75, until recently, if you were 75 and older, you didn't have to pay for a licence. That's right. That exemption, it was removed, right? Now they're means testing it some way, which is outrageous, of course. Jeremy Hunt says, I'll protect the over 75s. What's in the iPaper? Johnson blow as 20 MPs line up to block his no deal. Brexit, that's not news at all. The Metro, let's have a look at the Metro. Boris, no deal's 1,000,000 to 1. He's not going to take the United Kingdom out of the European Union on WTO terms with no deal. He's not going to do that, ever. Don't believe him. Okay? The Mirror TV licence revolt, same thing. As the Express, Hunt says he'll restore the exemption for the over 75s. While Hunt is saying that, a poll has shown that pensioners are saying they will just refuse to pay it anyway. Put us in prison, say the pensioners. Good for them. What's in the Star? Bearing up. Man survives for a month after raging beast breaks his back and stores him in mountain den to eat later. That's a weird story in the Star. Survival story there. And in the Sun, chore nicked, wife thrown in jail cell for nagging hubby to do the hoovering. Yeah, I won't laugh because that story is featured inside the Daily Mail and it's a bit sinister, so we'll come to it in a minute. So before we come to that, let me read a few more comments, all right, as we approach 5 minutes to 10 on this glorious Thursday morning. Let's go. Let me go back. This is the problem, you see. I can't find the comments from where they started, right? Joe Public says 17 degrees in sunny Edinburgh. Lovely. Ath Breeze asks, is Boris Johnson a Mason? I've no idea. We need a wall, really, says 2-6. Phoenix Rising says Jeremy Hunt called Brexiteers little Englanders. That's right, he did. Truth Site says surge in immigration is a result of bad foreign policies. Of course it is. Of course. And those bad foreign policies were not mistakes. They were designed to do what it is they have done and to cause the migrant problem and the chaos that we see in southern Europe and in Germany, of course, and elsewhere. Of course, that's absolutely right. That's right. And that's why the race baiters, they're not racists in the independent media. See, there's a gold rush at the moment. Anybody can join in and make a fortune. Set up a YouTube live stream. Come on it and race bait. Talk about invasions. Talk about swarms. Dehumanise those migrants that are being seen now in greater numbers in your towns and cities. Of course they are. I would never deny it. And I would never deny why. But demonise them. Do all that. Talk in those terms and you'll make a fortune on YouTube. And you'll make a fortune elsewhere because you'll be promoted. Because that's what's happening. There is really no real alternative media. None. Well, you've got the Richie Allen radio show. You got one or two others. But I don't care if you think that's big-headed and arrogant. I don't care. The vast majority of the independent media these days, particularly on the right, is nothing but race-baiting trash, which talks about an obvious problem, which is obvious, but doesn't talk about why it's happening at all. Because to talk about why it's happening is to be shadow banned, is to be deleted, and is to be marginalised. But to talk about swarms and to talk about takeovers and to post pictures of school children in schools and not actually talk about why it's really happening and who's really behind it, well, that's how you make money. So that's race baiting. It's not racist. There's a difference. Very clever. And you'll find that these people are supported financially by the same firms that have supported the likes of Tommy Robinson and Katie Hopkins and others. Fact. It's wonderful. It's beautiful in its simplicity, right? Told you 3 years ago. Ike said to me, Richie, with your ability, with your knowledge of the medium, with your experience, just go down the road of blaming everything on Muslims, Richie. Do it in your inimitable style. Ike said to me, I'll do it as well, says David, and we'll make millions. David was joking, of course. But he was right. He was right in what he said. He said we could do that. Guys like us who know the media. But he said we could never sell out, could we? We could never do that. Lie to make money. But that's what they do. That's what they do. They're everywhere now. Got him everywhere. England, Ireland, across Europe. On YouTube. Came out of nowhere. Tens of thousands of subscribers. Millions of views. Telling people what they want to hear. Race baiting. It's the Muslims. It's the swarms. The invasion. It's cultural Marxism. They don't know anything about cultural Marxism, what it means or where it came from. Nothing. But it's wonderful in its simplicity. That's how you do it. Told you, Jean Ann, I told you. I can't resist the opportunity. That's how it is. And I don't give a rat's arse what you think, or if you unsubscribe, or if you bitch, because it's the truth. Okay? See who they'll never criticise. You don't see thousands of Zionists threatening them, do you, on the internet? You don't see thousands of Zionists threatening their home and their family, threatening to publish their address and their phone number. And I'm not important. It's not about me. I'm not a crusader. I'm just a guy who provides a platform where real research and real truth is broken down by these people, not by me. So that's why, you see, it's race baiting. I could have done it easily with my knowledge of the medium, with my knowledge of radio, the success I've had over the years in the mainstream. Could have become a multi-millionaire in 2 years by swallowing that pill and going, yeah, I'm going to start screaming. I know I do scream sometimes. Into the microphone, I'm going to start race baiting. So simple. But I won't do it because it's not the truth. I'm full of shit most of the time. I'm well aware of that. I don't know everything. I get it wrong more often than I get it right. But at least it's honest, right? At least it's honest. Right. Loads and loads and loads of comments. There's too many. Right. Let's go back to the newspapers then. I had to get that off my chest. The race baiters are everywhere. Right, so this madness. Look at that guy for 58. He's in some shape, isn't he? Is he 58 or is she 58? This is about, I suppose, what David Icke would have called a totalitarian tiptoe. This woman told her husband to tidy the house more and to go to the gym less. She's 4'10", probably weighs 90 pounds soaking wet maybe. And she was arrested in 2018 because he was at the job centre, the husband, obviously looking for a job. And the staff at the job centre asked him why was he a bit down on himself. And he talked about the wife and the wife nagging him. She was arrested. Yeah. Locked in a cell for 17 hours, accused of controlling behaviour. Because she asked her gym-obsessed husband, who maybe was taking steroids, that was maybe killing their sex life, to maybe clean around the house a bit more and to get his act together. She was arrested. This is no joke, this. Okay? This was thrown out before it went to trial. Imagine you pay your taxes in this country if you have a job. If you're self-employed like me, you pay your taxes, right? And the Director of Public Prosecutions is recommending that it goes to trial. That this woman's controlling behaviour warrants going to trial. This was thrown out now because the husband refused to give evidence. The man was made redundant. He was at the job centre. He told the people there he felt a bit down on himself. And he said, me home life, he said. Wow. This became a crime in 2015. There was a campaign to tackle non-physical abuse. And this ended up, I don't know how many thousands of pounds that cost the taxpayer. But that's very sinister. And it's not connecting today because there's another story today that kind of feeds into this and makes this more, kind of makes it more clear what's going on. Clarifies it a bit more, right? It's now the law, by the way. Did you see this morning? Passed both houses. It passed both houses. The House of Parliament and the House of Lords. It's now law. The UK is required to bring its greenhouse gas emissions to zero. Net zero by 2050. It's now the law. Right? There it is. That's the government website, by the way. And there's more of it there. It's going to transform how people live in the UK unimaginably. And that's what it's meant to do, right? So I won't dwell on that because I've talked a lot about that in the last few weeks. The doctors have come out, more than 1,000 of them, including 40 professors. This is in The Guardian today, to call for non-violent direct action over climate crisis. Doctors have said we need more of Extinction Rebellion. We need more non-violent civil disobedience. We need more massive disruption of people's lives and of the economy in order to push governments to do even more on climate change. Right? You see where all this is going? Doctors demanding more action. There's a story in The Guardian today. Professionals coming out and saying we need non-violent civil disobedience. We need more of what we saw from Extinction Rebellion. We need total and utter chaos to force governments to do even more than the lunatic policy of trying to get emissions, CO2 emissions, to net zero by 2050, which means transforming our lives immeasurably, right? In draconian ways. Not in nice, good ways, but in terrible ways. Okay? What have we got? So we saw that climate, we saw the cleaner spending 17 hours in a cell because she nagged her husband. Eventually was thrown out. We see where this is going. It's in the BBC today. Very important. Transgender hate crimes recorded by police go up by 81%. What? There's not that many transgender people in England, Scotland or Wales or Northern Ireland or Ireland to begin with. So what's going on? Data obtained by the BBC showed there was nearly 2,000 crimes across 36 forces in the last financial year, compared with nearly 1,100 in 2016-2017. Stonewall LGBT charity says this is the consequences of a society where transphobia is everywhere. It's everywhere. I don't see it anywhere, but anyway. The Home Office said it was committed to tackling hate crime. This is Orwell on steroids, this. 36 out of 44 police forces in England, Scotland and Wales responded to a BBC Freedom of Information request to provide these figures. Now, West Yorkshire Police and South Yorkshire Police, right? Let's have a look. Saw reporting of transgender hate crimes more than treble over 3 years. West Yorkshire and South Yorkshire. They saw reporting of transgender hate crimes more than treble over 3 years. I wonder. Does this have anything to do with it? Do you remember this? Do you remember the tweet from South Yorkshire Police? Do you remember this? In addition to reporting hate crime, police report non-crime non-crime hate incidents, which can include things like offensive or insulting comments. Online, in person or in writing. Hate will not be tolerated in South Yorkshire. Reported and put a stop to it. That tweet, I think, dates to September of 2018 because I covered it on the Richie Allen radio show. So I wonder if the reason that reporting in Yorkshire has gone up to such a large degree, is it down to them soliciting people, phoning them up and saying, I heard some guy say something about trannies the other day. Jesus, we'll record that. Let's record that, you trannies. Yeah. Some bloke was on a bus and I heard him say, they're just not women, they're men. Thanks for that. Yeah. What did he look like? He was bald, was he? He wears glasses, bit of a goatee, speaks with outrageous. All right, yeah. Yeah. That's what it is. It was that tweet. Sue Pascoe was flagged as a vulnerable person by police due to the number of threats she was receiving. If Sue Pascoe is a woman, I'm a leprechaun. Not a woman. See, they're driving us to this. They're driving us to be this way. And I'm falling for it now. Because I don't care what Sue Pascoe chooses to do or what Sue Pascoe chooses to claim to be. It's none of my business. But you're making it my business now. You're making it my business because you're threatening me. You're threatening me, passive-aggressive behaviour, threatening me that I can't think, not that I can't even say, that I can't think that you're not a woman. You'll never be a woman. And Sue's a vulnerable person. And I've talked a lot about vulnerable groups. And Stuart Waiton, the Scottish, Stuart is not from Scotland, but he lectures in sociology and criminology at Abertay University in Dundee. He's written about this extensively, better than anybody. Creating vulnerable groups that must be protected as a means to introduce more and more, again, Orwellian, draconian legislation. Thought policing. We need to protect Sue. No, you don't. Sue just needs to block the tweets. Sue, you're a big ugly bastard. You'll never be a woman. No, I would never say that. I would never say that to anybody. But if somebody says that to Sue on Twitter, block, gone, finito, over. You can't be hurt by that or harmed. It's a moron that's using a silly Twitter handle who's using a avatar. They've not even got the courage to put a photograph of themselves on there. So how could you be harmed by it? Not a woman. Never will be. And I will never think you are. That being said, I wouldn't go out of my way to be shouting at you. You want me to call you Sue? No problem. Stonewall says 2 in 5 trans people experienced a hate crime in the past year. It's nonsense. It's a lie. It's a lie. It's a lie when you're using things as benign as, well, I don't think you're a woman. I'm not supposed to be saying that. In theory, a trans person could send this video to Greater Manchester Police, and somebody probably will, and say this is hate. Because he won't accept that I'm a woman. But I won't. There's Andy Wolford. Not a woman. Never will be. Misgendered me. I didn't misgender you. You're not a woman. But I don't hate you. I don't fear you. And I don't plan to spend any of my time chasing people around like you and saying you're not a woman. You bring it to me, as this charity is doing, claiming that hate crimes are going on. You bring it to me as a journalist. Well, you've got my attention now. Okay? And I'm going to stand up for free speech and, more importantly, freedom of thought. The freedom of people to think, all right, I'll call you Andy with an I, but we both know. You know? This is dreadful. Look at that tweet again. Look at that tweet again. What world are you living in? When a police force can say, hey, listen, get on the old device there and give us a tinkle and report non-crime hate incidents. And of course, people did. Now the statistics are showing what they want the statistics to show. Jesus, Mary and Joseph, huh? Huh? Look at this. Before we get to that, we'll come back to that in a minute. I'll read some comments. I'm going to be here till about 10:30, I think, now at this stage. Am I boring the bejesus out of you? I probably am. I bore the bejesus out of myself sometimes. Look at that. I'm reading the wrong thing. Look, I've taken the wrong device. Look, that'll tell you. Ironically, I got more sleep last night than I normally do. I normally get about 4 hours a night. I got more. Lovely. Let me go down there. 4Jam Line says tranny radio. Won't be monetizing this video. Gilbert says, I think the world needs a new invention, the cow fart collector. About climate change. Yeah, absolutely. Hi to Ian Hilpus. If I didn't say hello to you, by the way, hi to Sutty's Rehab, hi to Ruth Cormack, Steve Bennett, Chris Morell. If I didn't say hello to you, I'm not ignoring you, right? So many of them have come in. We've had nearly 300 messages. I can't get to all of them. Hi to Ketchup Mayo. And William Gibson, Teppy Hambon. Lovely. Sean Mack again. Yeah, okay, right, let's move on then. Root says, Richie, I got a picture of a 4-foot high police officer with his co-pilot confronting a gang of youngsters at 3 a.m. in the night. No wonder some criminals think it's game on. A 4-foot high police officer with partner confronting a gang of youngsters at 3 o'clock in the morning. Wow. They'll take anybody in the police force. I remember when we first arrived in Manchester, because we were in Manchester for 2 years before we lived in Spain. There was a massive recruitment drive going on. And I was in Piccadilly one afternoon. The police were there, desperate to get people in at that time. In the, what was that? 2000, late 2003, early 2004. How old was I then? Nearly 30, was I? Yeah. And being a big boy, I remember they asked me, are you interested? Signing up, take the aptitude test, come and have the physical. I was like, nah. I was very honest with them. I said, I just could never imagine. I know we need police, we really do. And many of them are lovely people. And thank God they're there if you really need them, right? Some scumbag decides to, threaten you or do you some harm. At least they're there, But who would want to wear a uniform and go around telling people what to do? Not me anyway. But look at this lunacy. Furious parents blast primary school for new rules that ban 5-year-olds from choosing who they play with during breaks. So I'm going to read this. I've got it here, some of it. This is where it's going, you see. Got it here. This is Welton Primary School in East Yorkshire. Pupils are divided into colour-coded groups and they must take part in an activity determined by the school, policy which they claim helps children make good progress. Right? Okay. Pupils who want to sit and chat with their friends can do so in a quiet area, and peer mentors are there to look after children who can't find anyone to play with. Okay? Concerns over these rules were raised when the school's head teacher sent a letter to parents telling them the teachers actively discourage socialising in the classroom. New classes are formed each year in a strategy which enables pupils to develop and build skills that will be very important to them as they grow up. So when we went to primary school, we stayed with the same kids for 5 years, didn't we? Or thereabouts. We went to first form, didn't we? And we moved on up to sixth form. Then we went into high school. Not anymore. Not anymore. And we can show you the letter. One mother says, actively discouraging socialisation is horrific. The kids are dictated to about who they are to play with. It's weird. It's the only free time they have. It would be like telling a colleague that they had to eat lunch with somebody specific. The kids are banded like yellow, etc., and that's who they have to play with. They should be able to free play. So what they're doing is they're trying to make sure that each child spends as much time playing with children from different ethnic backgrounds, okay, different social backgrounds, the opposite gender. This is what they're introducing, dictating to the children, right, you've played enough today with children who look like you. Tomorrow, you're going to have to play with children who come from maybe an Asian background or maybe an African background. This is what's going on. This is fucking crazy, right? Do you want to see the letter? Have we got the letter? We have. Told you this is rubbish. I tell you every day. Here's the actual letter. From the head teacher. The policy is to form new classes each year, so they form friendships in first form. You won't be with them next year. This is for a positive strategy for pupils. It enables them to develop and build skills that will be important to them as they grow up. It enables the school to ensure the classes remain balanced in terms of gender and additional needs, leading to improved learning and progress for children. Wow. They soon learn to work in collaboration with new people, an essential life skill. It's important to remember the classroom environment is a learning environment and one where socialising is actively discouraged, as it is a barrier to high pupil outcomes and it disrupts even other children's learning. Wow. I'm amazed at my capacity to still be amazed. Take them out of schools. Don't put you. I know parents, they have no other option. They can't comprehend it. I know that. I know it's difficult for them financially. I'm well aware of it. Don't send them to these crazy programming places. Because what they want to create is that. That's what they're creating in primary schools. The village of the damned. Right? And they're doing that in primary schools, making children like that, so that when they grow up, they'll be like that. It's as simple as that. There isn't any other earthly explanation for it. Okay? Don't go to the Daily Mail crying about it. Pull your children out of the schools and say, no, thank you. No, you're not going to teach them about homosexual, straight or homosexual or lesbian or whatever the hell. You're not going to talk to them about the 65 different rainbow of genders when they're 4 or 5. You're not going to do that. So I'm taking them out of school. Full stop. It's mad, right? A few more comments. Coming up for 10:20. It is absolutely insane. My old school looks like a prison now, says 2-6. Venus Rising says, if you and Caroline do have children, homeschool. Yeah, I have no intention. I've said it on the show before. No child of ours would ever be subjected to one of these control factories. And I know there are lovely men and women who want to teach children how to read and how to write, but who also want to encourage children to use the parts of their brain that are creative, that encourage children to have fun and to be explorative, to explore, to find things out for themselves, to be children. There are lots of teachers. I had them myself in primary school. I was really lucky in primary school. I had teachers who were all about fun and going outdoors and going hunting for shells by the seaside. We grew up by the seaside. I grew up next to the sea. They took us out to the woods. We had lessons in fields. Honest to God, when the weather was good, let's go outside and we'll tell stories and we'll talk. I had teachers like that in St. Saviour's National School in Ballybeg in Waterford City. But that's been transformed now. It wouldn't resemble the primary school that I attended from 1979 until 1986 or whatever it was. Can't remember now. I made my Holy Communion and I made my confirmation there. Crazy. Am I still streaming? I am, because there is problems with the stream. So I wouldn't dream of putting a child through school today with all that's going on. today. Right, look, I'm going to leave it there. That's 40 minutes of your life you'll never get back. But anyway, I've got a lot on this afternoon. I can't talk about it. I've got a problem. I can't say much about it. But some of you will be aware that there was a lot of talk about a tweet that I put on Twitter a couple of weeks back, 3 weeks or so ago, about being sick to death about hearing about the Holocaust. And I got piled in on then, in a way that some regular Twitter users and some of my peers have said that they've never seen anything like it. It was quite extraordinary how it escalated. I didn't help matters, of course, because not being a shrinking violet and not being somebody who scares easily. In fact, I'm not scared of anything or any man or any woman alive. I kept going back at them time and time again. But it got nasty. And the love of my life was mentioned. My new house was mentioned. I was threatened. And I was able to identify one or two of the people involved in it. And one or two of them are reasonably well-known Zionists. So I'm just not having that. You see, coming from the background I come from, the old school way of dealing with it is going to confront the people directly and dealing with it yourself. And I don't necessarily mean physically, but putting a stop to it yourself. But things have changed. You can't do that. And I'm at a disadvantage there if I try and go down that route. So I'm going down a different route. And I'm going after some of these people. And I've got to spend a few hours today with a solicitor. I'm serious about this. And I can't say much about it because this is a live broadcast in a public forum. I've got to be very careful about what I say. But nobody's going to threaten my woman. Nobody's going to threaten me with violence. Nobody's going to threaten to expose where I live, even though it's fairly obvious where I live and whereabouts I live. I'm no shrinking violet. I'm a big, ignorant, mousy, Irish, baldy old bollocks. If you come around Salford, where are we exactly geographically in Salford? Are we west or are we east? We're the Eccles side of Salford, right? You want to find me, you can find me. Hang around the parks, you'll see me. Come and say hello to me. Let's talk about our dogs. Let's talk about the weather. Let's talk about the military-industrial complex. Some of these people were posting my address and were urging people to come and do me harm. And I'm not having that. So they'll be dealt with. And in a few months' time, hopefully, I'll be able to tell you about it in more detail, but I can't tell you now. I'd love to, but I can't. So I'm going to deal with that, and it's not going to happen again. Something similar happened about 3 years ago. One of these people threatened to knock me down if I was crossing the road in Deansgate. And that's nonsense. You know, you don't take stuff like that seriously because anybody who's going to knock you down is not going to tell you about it beforehand. But some of the clues given by this person led us to figure out where they were. And I made a complaint at the time and it was dealt with at the time. That was about 3 years ago. So I'm going to deal with it, and I'm going to deal with it today. And after today, I'm going to forget about it and we'll let justice take its course and we'll put these people out of action, is what we'll do. Nobody threatens me. Nobody threatens me or my family. Simple as that, you know. Right, anyway, I love you and leave you. So, look, I'm giving you loads of extra content anyway, so don't complain if I'm not doing the radio show today. I'll be back with you tomorrow for a more lively paper review show than today. A lot on my mind, obviously, with this afternoon and everything else. And, of course, Sunday View. Next Monday, Barry Trower is back for another Q&A. And we're back to normal next week. The following week, I'm having a floor put down. You know, I had the floor taken up and I had screed put down. Well, the week after that, there will be a floor, but it's not going to interfere with the radio show at all. I'll be able to carry on doing what I'm doing, and the guys will be finished by the time we start the radio show. So I'm looking forward to that in our little fixer-upper project that we have there here. Our home, that's going to be our home for years, hopefully. And we're excited about it. But nobody's going to threaten us. Because I know they're watching these people. You haven't the first fucking clue who you dealt with. or who you screwed with when you threaten me, my family, and put my address on the internet. You no idea who you messed with. Right. Okay. That was maybe uncalled for, but anyway. I know these people never stop watching. We will speak again real soon. This will be on YouTube soon. It'll be on Podomatic as well. Share it or not. Thanks for watching, and let's speak on the same channel tomorrow at 9:30. Okay? Bye for now.